Hello everyone, this is Bigalski.
And JTB.
And this is the final video, Chapter 16 of the normal walkthrough for Ninja Gaiden Black's release for the Xbox One, showing the time limits and end of chapter bonuses. Also, we're going to do a little extra things here on some vid making, the past and the present, as well as talk about the new site that we all join or belong to. It's called NGRealm. JTB decided to keep that up. Of course, a lot of people know that Iberian's NGRealm went down. Dark Hazuki decided to come up with Ninja Archives, and after years he decided to move on from that, but JTB decided to keep that up because we want to keep the history of the past of what we have. We lost a little bit of it from IWs, but we want to keep this going whether people come or not. It's always going to be there. It's also more than just a regular gaming side that's just Ninja Gaiden. Of here's some of the stuff you can chat with. You have private messages. Of course, there's a lot of history from Ninja Gaiden, but also there's other forums with other different games, a chat section. If you want to go ahead and say anything, this is going by fast already.
You covered it all. Yeah, you covered it all, man. I just want to say a big thank you to Dark Hazuki for keeping it going. He's definitely the MVP. He did all the work. I simply just picked it up from where he left off and pay the bill, basically. But huge shout out to him. He is the reason it's still there.
And one of the things we want to do is really compare the old video capture system, or how we used to do it. Or this is my setup back in 2005 when I first started making videos. Our TV in the bedroom had a VCR, so I would record. Shelly would try to be getting some sleep sometimes, and I'd be recording. But
quick question: did you ever have a Duke?
Yes, I still have one. I think I still have one.
Yeah. It's quite good to play NG with, for anyone wondering. The Duke, it's a good controller for NG.
Yeah, that's a big controller. I played it with Halo whenever I got my Xbox. Yeah. But so when I decided to start making videos, this was my first setup. The TV like that. People probably don't even know what those are anymore because of, it was bulky. I mean, it weighed like 60 or 70 pounds, and it was only like a 20 or 32 inch or something like that. But so I would record on the VHS tape, and then after I would get, however many clips I wanted to or anything, then I would come over to the computer, and actually this VCR was actually hooked up to our front TV. So whenever I wanted to record, I had to unhook it from the TV and then go plug it into my computer and go through a Dazzle. I think we used Virtual Dub. And,
yeah, that was really big back then. I remember a lot of people would use it.
Well, it was something, and my wife was cleaning out a bunch of old tapes and CDs and cassettes that we still had and all that stuff, and she found actually some tapes of my old gameplay. And let me tell you what, I was terrible. I was terrible at the game, but, it was exciting. We talked about videos were new at the time, so it's like, well, let me make some videos and start trying to help. And, over the course of the years, hopefully I've gotten a little bit better. And of course, the setup and capture system isn't anywhere as antiquated as it was. And then I think right here is like my old file, just to give people some examples. Like the very first video I made back in September of 2005 was the Very Hard Horseman in Ninja Gaiden. And that was like always considered an impossible time limit to make. The only person who ever made it was JTB. And
that's without Nimpo, though.
Yeah. Without Nimpo, I mean, some of the greats of the past, never could make it, and he was able to make that finally after years. I mean, it was years later, but that's the great thing about the game. People are still playing and innovating and learning. But anyway, it was 7.2 or 0.42, whatever it is, megabytes. The length is only like 3 minutes and 16 seconds. We recorded at 320 by 240 with like a 353 bit rate. Oh, I'm telling you, it was crazy. I remember talking to Weeble a lot when we would get on Virtual Dub and we'd try to figure out what codec, here's the size of it, of, what we used back then. Because, YouTube back in those days,
YouTube didn't exist first.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
It was, I don't know if anyone watching remembers it, but do you remember FileFront? Was that was kind of the place everyone used to host their video,
right?
Because it was free. On the subject of that as well, we were talking about Virtual Dub. One of the other reasons that was really popular is because it was free. Back then, unless you wanted to pirate it, of course, but if you wanted to get video editing software, it was real expensive if you got it legitimately.
Yeah,
So,
and then of course you had to play with it a few times to see how it was going to come out and look, because again on YouTube at that time, 10 minutes, you could only upload a 10-minute clip, and it couldn't be any more than 100 megabytes when we were finally able to start using YouTube. And I think that's the reason why Iberian Warrior's site finally came in, into existence, is because there was no good place to really host these videos. And this right here is my folder of all my NG videos. And if you look there off to the side, there's 47 files that I made, but it's only 1.21 gigs for all those videos, where this video right here will be probably close to 2 gigabytes on its own by the time everything gets done. Weeble used to have a little hosting service that he would do, and he would host everything off his Xbox. So he would grab the videos where he could, Shinobier's videos, Shin's videos, a lot of the old vets that people just don't know of these days. But he would host that, and again, we would talk about it on GameFAQs, and then that's what led to Iberian Warrior deciding, hey, let me open a site, and then of course it came, what it was in the day.
yeah, just as a last bit of comparison there, I just checked all my old NG stuff, even though I lost a lot in the old site, mine's 4.5 gigs for 184 videos.
And then, here I upgraded to this 36-inch TV that weighed like 140 pounds because of that tube was so heavy. And it was just crazy. And then, like I said, I would plug everything in. But now that I had a DVD player...
Is that a Ninja Dog load screen?
Is it? Yeah, it might have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, we used to do like low dog Ninja Score runs or whatever.
Yeah, they were really fun.
It was a lot of fun to just go through Ninja Dog. It was a big deal for people. Oh, I can't believe you're playing Ninja Dog. It's like, man, it's a game. Let's have some fun.
Quickly on that though, it was funny when the game came out, because for anyone that doesn't know, there was a year between 04 and Black. And when people would talk about it and review it, because YouTube wasn't a thing then, Let's Plays weren't a thing, people still struggled with Ninja Dog. So,
oh yeah,
if you can't get through it, don't feel bad. It's not easy. It's only easy when you know how.
Well, after I would plug all that stuff in, and you have to go through S-Video and just to get all the settings up. I mean, it was. I remember buying that small DVD player to just have it. It was crazy, and I said it. The time was considerably cut down from what I used to do with the VCR stuff, but I mean it's so easy now compared to then. But again, trying to upload stuff to YouTube, and then the other part of that is it's not like you had 100 megabyte speed either. So if you had a big 100 megabyte file, it might take you an hour or 2 hours or whatever to just upload. And God forbid Xbox put out a patch or an update that was 2 gigs, you might as well just leave it on all night.
So. I mean, it was only relatively recently I went to, like HD stuff. Trying to think, maybe 6 years or so.
Right.
Pretty recent for me.
So my last video series, I think my last was like 2006, I think, for Ninja Gaiden Black. It was either 2006 or 2007, but these were the last pictures that I think I took on how I would make the videos. And then of course whenever you start seeing some of the pictures a little bit later on, how it's just so much easier and how they've come up with that. But I look back at it, there were a lot of good times. Well, we say it was good times then, struggling with that and trying to figure out the coding.
I would never go back.
yeah.
One of the reasons, even if the site hadn't have gone, like if the site had stayed up, I would have been able to get a lot of my old stuff. But one of the main reasons I don't have like the vast majority of my old stuff is because my computer at the time was had a 7 gig hard drive. I couldn't just keeping just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos wasn't really viable back then.
Well, and the site that we're talking about, for those who may not know that are new to the game, it was Iberian's NGRealm. And the name of this site right here is more of a tribute to the game itself, and we wanted to do NG, but then also the realm of we could add other possibilities of other games, and but also expand on that. Like I said, there's still a lot of activity on the Ninja Gaiden Black, and some of the other community, Ninja Gaiden 2 and Sigma's been having some activity. But this right here,
hopefully NGO4 will be soon too. Just tease something that we're doing.
Like
JTB's hopefully
doing some good stuff with that. But
this is there'll be some interest in that.
This is my Elgato capture system where I plug it into the see, I already, man, you're right, the time did go by fast. These are my notes. So whenever I capture everything through my Elgato that comes into my computer, I have all these files, maybe 10 or 12 files for each section that I'm doing, and then I go to, once I get them all put together in transition, which it'll show it a little bit later on, what I like to do is I like to be very precise about the title screens. If everybody sees that, it always says Bigalski Xbox One gameplay. That's line 1, line 2. So this is how I keep track of, the high-tech way of handwriting it down.
You're way more particular about this stuff than I am. For me, like my editing is just hit render, hit upload. Like that's it.
Well, I figure if I'm going to do it, I'm going to have fun with it. So I really enjoy my transitions and everything. But so all this stuff, I keep track of which titles I use because I don't want to redo new titles or repeat titles or repeat transitions or anything because I have so many of them. Now this clip right here is actually what I'm working on now. So that's the title screen over there. Then I type everything up in the right hand side is where I can go through, and you can see the spaces in between where making the time limits an extra feature. You can see where that is. You can see the color. I can change all that stuff. I can shade it in. I mean, there's just so many options that you can do now. Again, you can see the next title right below that. Maybe that's I don't know what title that is. Maybe 26. So that's probably what I'll use for my next video. Again, there's a lot of other titles. Some of them I will be able to use. Some of them I can. It's just not going to be productive. But anyway, I can control all that. Control the font, the sizes. It's the little sliders there. Or the transition in and the transition out, so I can adjust that. It's really a lot of fun to play with, and that's the reason that I do it. So this right here is part of some of this video clip right here. You can see the little storyboard going across the little smaller squares, and then there you can see the AV track 2. That's where the clips go. The AV track 1 is where my title goes. There's an AV track 3 and 4 that you don't see right now. That will be JTB and my voice. I'll be 3, he'll be 4. And then, of course, these are my transitions. And you can see where it says particle. I think there's like 16 or 18 in those. So I'll go through that. And, I mean, there's just I probably have 500 transitions. So it's fun playing it. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to have a good time doing it. I know you don't really particularly care for it, but... Hey. Nah,
I like my editing to be, like as fast as possible.
Well, your gameplay makes up for, mine. I gotta wow and dazzle people with my transitions and everything. So, go into this. So here's one of the current files. We saw some of the properties from the older files. Here's some right here. Just my latest video of chapter 15 that was done. I mean, it was 2.18 gigs after it was finished. So it's just unbelievable when I still go back and look at all this stuff, how far it's come. And I mean, I've said that a few times, but again, when you see it, looking at it, you're like, wow, it really has come a long way. The youth today are so lucky.
They are when it comes to video making.
It's
very, very easy.
Yeah, and that's something too. I think that's the reason why I enjoy the transitions and I enjoy all of that is just so I can just have a really good time with it. And it's actually kind of very peaceful and relaxing for me because sometimes some of these fights and doing it like I want, that gets a little stressful, but putting it together in a video, that's the relaxing part of it. And then this is going over to the other side of it, the frame rate, the width and the height, the 1280 by 720. I could render it in, what's the next size?
1080p.
Yeah, 1080p. I could do that, but my computer's a little bit older, and it's not going to run that very well. So the video quality on YouTube is good, and I still use a pretty high bitrate setting to to have I guess a good quality to it. I mean, I haven't heard anybody say anything. I think the video on its own, with the fighting and the information and the commentary, makes up for it not being in 1080p.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing I do wonder about. If anyone watching, let us know in the comments. Like, how often do people actually watch like videos full screen? I know I hardly ever do on YouTube. I never watch anything full screen, so I don't really notice the quality stuff that much.
Well, see, that's I watch it full screen, and maybe it's because I'm so used to it not being that great quality. I would never notice if it's super detailed. Hey, it's better than before. Is how it's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah.
And again, comparing, those 47 vids or whatever it was that was 1 gig, a little over 1 gig. Here's 17 videos that's 26 gigs, and that's just the videos that I've made. I still have a chapter where I've got my blooper videos to make, so that's going to be chapter 11 through 16. So I have all those clips. I mean, I probably have, with everything and the rendering files, because that takes up a lot of space too, is those rendering files. It's probably 150 gigs easily. That's on my computer. So I have a terabyte. So this last screen before we start getting to the video is actually how it's going to look after I get all my transitions in. The screen up there with JTB, Weeble, me, and P. Saren, that's our buffer screen that starts at the very beginning. And how we do that is, I have that, you might have heard me saying the blooper, but we have the 10-second buff. So we're both on Discord right now. I'm sharing my screen. He's watching the same thing that I am. And so for him to hit record on his end, we do that buffer screen. So as soon as it starts with the beginning, and I'll do hello Bigalski, he does JTB. That's how we do that. Then he will send me his file, and then I will put that in. So I have my voice on one track, his voice on another track, and then I have to go through and adjust the game volume, my volume, his volume. So there's a lot of work, but again, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is such a different process. And one of the other things we haven't mentioned real quick, it's more than just the ease of it. You couldn't do stuff like this back then, like dual commentary stuff. Like, you probably could, but it'd take ages. But it's a lot easier to do this now.
Well, also, it's we're in different countries, so getting together and doing all this stuff. Again, after you see this, it'll probably
look at the damage on that Inferno.
Well, that's only level 2. I didn't even put it up to level 3. But
man, I'd forgotten about I forgot how powerful that is.
Well, going into this clip this is probably, in my opinion, the safest way to just beat him. And that's just kind of a standard thing. It's at level 2, Inferno, low health, just forward, wide, change. But what I wanted to do here is do something a little bit different. And I tell you what, there's some iframes right there with the Luna.
There's some good iframes in the XYY Luna.
Yeah, but sometimes you get hit. But I'm telling you, every time.
Fun fact for that, just what I remember actually, the nunchucks have the same property, and the thing that determines the actual invulnerability is if you're connecting with an enemy or not. If you were to just do that string like in the neutral without hitting anybody, you just get hit right out of it. But whereas when you're connecting, like you can actually sometimes get out of stuff like that. So.
Yeah, see, I got hit out of those.
Yeah.
We thought, and if I tried to do like XXY. He would grab me almost every time. That's the reason I decided to do the lunar explosion, just to be up in the air, so he couldn't grab me out of that. I can't tell you how many times I could have a good blooper video of just him grabbing me. But this right here, if people are having trouble dodging this, jumping over that or whatever, you can charge up with the lunar, or you can charge up with like a gleaming blade, because I think the other ones, they can still hit you since there's no activation of, or the continuation of the move.
The UFUT would be a really good one there too. That's got like a really nice wind up to it.
So those are a couple different ways to fight Mirai. I did this one. This one right here is going to be just dodging and charging, I mean, you could probably do that with any heavy weapon. Just dodge his attack and charge up and release UTs. But again, I wanted to show the lunar. I don't think that's ever really been shown. Also, the shurikens, you know, do a little bit of chip damage, and sometimes you could hit it where they stun them to where you could go in for an attack. So again, it was just something I was kind of playing around with, and had a good time doing that. But here, I've never been good at platforming this. I have, again, a couple bloopers whenever I make it of me just jumping straight into the lava at the very beginning of it. I mean, it's awful. You know, you watch all these speedrunners and shortcuts guys and everything like that, and, you know, I've just never been good at it. So hopefully this also will give people, I think I said it in the other video, you know, some hope. I mean, you don't have to play this game perfect to beat everything, to make the time limits. It definitely is a challenge, but you don't have to be, you know, a super champion if you just follow some simple guidelines and tips and tricks that we have talked about over this last series.
It just looks better when you do it clean. That's the only thing.
Oh yeah, but hey, I'm happy to get through it.
Yeah. It's well, I think that's an important distinction to make. You know, like this game takes, you know, it takes a lot of practice to get really, really good. So, you know, I think patience is really important.
And it's something that hopefully, you know, this series has helped out. I've really enjoyed, you know, making the clips. JTB and I, you know, we have a good time doing the commentary. I hope that really shows through. Now, I did want to say real quick, the final time is 5:39, 5 hours and 39 minutes. The kills are 1,900. We had an old Karma Run score we did on Iberians back in like 2006 or 2007. I actually beat that score on this run right here, so I was really kind of surprised about that. But that's going to be it. I think I'm going to work on my mission mode videos, beating everything on Master Ninja, and, you know, putting those up. It might be a while before I do another story mode. If people are still interested in that, please let me know. But that's it, guys. I really enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you, JTV.
Thanks again, man. We'll see you next time.